Valley's meeting order at 7:05. Mr. Minute Taker, are you ready to make the switch?
Go.
Okay, so we're ready to make the switch. Thank you, Barry, for taking care of me and making sure I always have an agenda. Because I don't know what my head is at. So, consent agenda, we had the superintendent's cabinet report we talked about at the last meeting. And we got a quorum, right? We got 4 of us. Who are we missing? Laura, 4's a quorum, yeah. And then we had the minutes of the November 20th and then December 4th meeting. So is there any discussion, thoughts, or are you guys good with that? And hearing no comments, objections, or anything else, by unanimous consent, we'll adopt the superintendent cabinet's report. Let's do real quick, everybody pretty much knows everybody. We don't need to introduce ourselves for the TV people, do we? Okay, cool. He didn't talk, but he did shake his head. Members of the public. Andy, you guys are here, you're here. Okay, superintendent's not gonna be here. Communications, look at that, Anita. We're right on you.
Great, I'm gonna scoot up here.
So did everybody see this thing that was posted at the town clerk's office in Dover? Thank you, Andy. We'll pass that around. That was very nicely done.
Thank you. That goes to the schools, the town clerk's offices, the libraries, and over in Wardsboro, I've seen it in all the appropriate places. And coming in the front door here, I saw it on Matt's bulletin board. So thanks to the schools and everybody for posting it. And I'll update that for just January, in January. The website's up to date except for the approved minutes from the last meeting, so that'll be done as soon as I can have the approved ones posted on WCSU. There have been no questions from the public, even though I sent out your statement to the media. It will appear in the bucket bill in the January issue, again, that request for public input and comment. It went to all the newspapers, it was posted on Front Porch. I have an update, by the way. Front Porch gave me permission to post to both towns.
I saw that.
Yeah, I whined really a lot, and they said, okay, you can have temporary access, so that makes it simpler for to do that. The thing that I need to know going forward is the deadline for the February bucket bill news is January 5th.
We're meeting on the 2nd, so we should be good.
So everything that you can give me about what's going to happen in February will give me a couple of days anyway to write it up and get that in the bucket bill, and then at the same time I can prepare a press release for the other papers as well. And then the other thing is, I forgot, I had another thing, bucket bill, website, the bucket bill. I want to just say that I put a lot of emphasis on it, and I talk about it a lot as an important thing, because Wardsboro's kind of in a news blackout. The Reformer doesn't really cover Wardsboro, Deerfield Valley News doesn't really cover Wardsboro. There aren't a whole heck of a lot of Front Porch participants. So the bucket bill and the bulletin boards in town, as those of you from Wardsboro know, is how we find out about anything. So I know it just seems like a little hometown newsletter, but I'm under the impression it's widely read. So, and I also want to mention the Christmas play that I was in was a huge success. So
I was going to ask you about that.
it was great. We had a full house. I didn't flub any of my lines, and I was happy. So questions from you all?
Anybody? Public? Congratulations on doing well in your play and not flubbing your line.
I know, I was happy. And by the way, per our agreement, I did forward an invoice to WCSU office today for 50% of the flat fee that we agreed on. And I also carbon copied you on it in case you haven't checked
I saw that.
your email. So that's in the works. And then
And as one board member said, it's a value at twice the price, so.
well, I kind of knew what I was doing this time, so we went
But
together.
she didn't recommend that we pay you twice as much.
All right, so if there's no questions, I'll probably just sit in for a little while and then mosey out early.
Thank you. Any comments for? No. Have a very happy holidays and I'm
I'll
glad
see
the
you
play
in
went really
January.
well. Okay, so that covers, look at that, see? You never should have loaned me your copy of the agenda meeting. Update from Anita, policies. So the policies, so last time when we were looking at the policies, remember there were some policies that we were like, you caught the, the DCF versus SRS. So I went back and looked, and the policies I sent to Wyndham Central were all corrected, and they were the right ones, because I think we met October 6th, and October 7th, I sent an email to them. I got the email, and I looked at the attachment, and it was all the right policies. So I sent that to Bill, and I told him I really wasn't happy, because we had sent the right ones over. I don't know why they posted the wrong ones on the internet. And that's just, it's really poor on their part. So supposedly everything's been corrected. So the gun policy was correctly posted, so we don't have to worry about that. And then the only other thing that I still had under policies is Rick, I think, in Wardsboro, was it just something you guys have been reviewing? The weapons policy besides we have a policy on guns, which is mainly weapons, but it's guns. And you guys thought we should do one for weapons?
I guess as we get up and operational, I know they were talking about one, I haven't been privy to exactly what they've spoken about.
So is the Wardsboro board talking about one? Is that what the?
We haven't.
Okay.
Right.
Like we had mentioned it for, just to make sure that it was included, not just guns, that it was all.
Is there a separate policy for,
Um,
would that be one policy?
So the town of Dover, so the Dover School District has a separate weapons policy. Because we actually had a weapons policy before we required to adopt a gun policy. So we just kept the weapons policy and then just took their mandatory policy and brought it in. So I have a copy of it here, but you guys, somebody gave it to me in Wardsboro. Did everybody get one in Wardsboro?
I did.
You
We
did?
did, we got one last
You did?
meeting.
Okay, so.
Tammy.
No, this is Dover's weapons policy. So what we do is we will work on updating policies, and we'll maybe what we can do is have a couple board members kind of be the policy people. And so we'll get them we'll figure that out later on in the meeting, who wants to kind of be doing policies. And then we'll have them bring to us a weapons policy to review, and if we're good with it, we can then vote to post it and then, adopt it at a future date. And remember too, on the policies, we only adopted the mandatory ones that we needed to. There's still transportation is out there, and then which school building you can attend. And those are gonna have to be done before we actually become operational. So there are a few policies there.
Rich,
Yep.
can you keep me in the loop on that so that I can update the links that I have? Because what I have on the website now links directly to the WCSU page. It's not our own page.
Yep.
So if
So
it.
do you want all the policies that I have?
Well, I
I'll send them to you.
Rick sent them to me and I posted them. I just don't know if they're still current, if you've made since later changes or
No,
anything.
there shouldn't, the ones that Rick had were the right ones.
All right.
The ones that.
Those are the ones that you forwarded to me.
Right, the ones that, I forwarded them to Wyndham Central, I forwarded them to Rick, and I forwarded them to Matt. And what happened is Wyndham Central just kind of used the ones they had forwarded to me that I corrected.
Okay.
Because what they'd done is Wyndham Central only put on the top, they made River Valley School on the header, but all through the body, if it mentions
Got it.
school district, like a line, they didn't fill any of that stuff out. And then there was, when we first reviewed them here a few months ago, Carrie noticed a couple little things, and there was a couple errors that I had noted that I had corrected before we voted on them, and I sent them to Wyndham Central. For some reason, she posted the wrong ones
So
on the
if I
Wyndham
have
Central.
links to
You have the
Wyndham-
right one.
If I have links to the Wyndham Central ones.
They should be
though,
right now.
They sure are correct now.
They're correct now, and the ones that Rick sent you are correct.
All right, so if there's any policy things that I need to
Right.
update, keep me in the loop on
Yeah,
that. Because
okay.
it is on the website.
Perfect. And then when the administration starts working on our school, they may recommend other policies too. Okay? Look at that, we got policies done.
Pretty good.
Is there a page 2 to this? Old business, calendar of events. So, right there. I had sent out to everybody a calendar of events. Review, approve, to move forward. So it says River Valley's Union School District work schedule, December through January. Does everybody have that? Okay. Now, the thing is, you guys don't have that. Damn. You know what, too? I'm gonna skip over a little bit. I messed up somewhere. Oh, do you guys mind if we skip a little bit and go to the annual meeting? Because Andy's here, Andy and Marco are here for the annual meeting. So does anybody have a problem if I do that first?
No.
Okay, so I also sent you out a River Valley Unified School District. Is Matt still here?
Yeah.
Could you do me a favor? Ask him if he can make some copies for us.
What?
Ask Matt if he can make some copies for me.
Anything in particular? Or?
Well, yeah, I'll give it to him, Mike. So we have the warning for the meeting, and I asked Andy and Marco to come here just for recommendations, because Andy had done a lot of research for us on how to change some things. So we have legal voters of the River Valley School District, comprising the voters of the town of Dover and Wardsboro, are notified and warned to meet at the Dover Town Hall in Dover, Vermont, to conduct the following business. One, elect a moderator to serve for the fiscal year July 1, 2018 to June 30, 2019. So unlike our, sometimes at our meetings when we elect somebody from the floor, the person actually will go till the end of the fiscal year. Our current moderator is Dr. Backus from Wardsboro. Article 2 is to elect a clerk to serve from July 1st, 2018 to June 30th, 2019. And we specifically did that because Andy said he was only going to be clerk till the next meeting. So we actually got a few extra months out of him. Thank you, Andy. And then to elect a treasurer to serve from July 1st to June 30th. And then 4 was, hey Matt, can you do me a favor? Can you make a couple copies?
Sure.
Make like 10 copies of, this is one packet.
Yep.
And then that,
10 of each.
yeah. Share your,
Oh, good, one for me too.
oh yeah, that's why I had to make 10. Do you have the?
I have it on mine.
Oh,
You don't want to set aside extra money.
no, that's.
Is it online?
personal.
No, I meant on my.
Okay, and then we have Article 5 to set the date of the annual meeting as the second Tuesday in February, odd years in Wardsboro and even years in Dover, the town halls in respective towns. Article 6, allow the board to accept any unanticipated funds such as grants and gifts. And then Article 7, transact any other business business thought proper to include review the board directors meeting locations and dates, review the work done by the board, review work and calendar of the board directors for the next year, and any other public concerns that can legally be discussed. And we had that in, or we added that in there because there's a lot of stuff going on and we were hoping to make it as much of an informational meeting. So that would get us through until we had to do a warning for our first year that we have to do a budget. So if you remember, there were several questions about whether we could change the way we vote for board members. It was, can we change, because we were told that our first budget had to be by ballot, but we could change it after that. And then, Andy had some concerns about doing the meeting and how votes would work, and if you were to have ballot votes and how the clerk could do that on town meeting day. And then, Marco was kind of up in the air, what's his position, how does he do this? So I thought it'd be good if we can just see if there's any changes we should make to this and just to get your folks' ideas. Because what we need to do is to get this warned in the proper time period. We need to kind of make any changes we can tonight, and then we would have to adopt it or approve it at our next meeting on January 2nd. So hopefully he'll be back in a few minutes with ones that we can look at on paper. But Andy, on the election of the clerk and the budget stuff, you want to do a quick review for
Yep,
people?
I do. It's gonna be much more clear than last time. You're gonna be like, wow, this is so clear now. I understand all of
See
this.
right through it.
All
Oh,
right.
you made copies anyways.
So, basically, the things that you need to consider that you asked me to look into with the attorney for this warning, right, are are the treasurer position. Anybody else
I'll
want?
take.
So, you're welcome, Anita. Oh, I gave you one.
Oh, good.
I'll take it back. One of you guys want one? You can share it.
No, shit, we'll share. I know where to get you.
So basically, the question was, if you wanted the supervisory union treasurer to be the unified school district treasurer, how would that work? The lawyer's response is on page 6 and 7. My magic marker page numbers in the bottom left-hand corner there. And basically what he says is that a lot of school districts elected their supervisory union treasurers as the unified school district treasurer, despite the fact that they were not residents of any of the towns in the unified district, which is not cool according to Vermont statutes, but since so many of them did it and nobody raised any issues, they're going with it. And our lawyer's okay with that. So, if you want the supervisory union treasurer to be the treasurer of the unified school district, our attorney told me on the phone that what you should do is put an article on the warning, shall the voters of the River Valley's Unified School District, the legislation says, shall they designate, thank you, the supervisory union treasurer as the unified school district treasurer. He said that, our attorney said that, if anybody challenges that, you have to go back to the drawing board and nominate somebody who is actually a resident of Dover or Wardsboro. By having it as an article, people can ask questions. You can explain the situation to them. If everybody's okay with it and it goes forward, then that's that. But you need everybody to be okay with it. That doesn't mean people can't ask questions about it. That doesn't invalidate it. It's when somebody challenges the result. You know, so you need everybody on board. You need all the voters on board. You need Marco on board. You need everybody on board. So that's something for you to consider if you want to have the SU treasurer be your treasurer.
So that's a floor vote, not a ballot vote.
That is a floor vote as an article. Now that's the way our attorney said to do that, and he told me that on the phone. He didn't put that in writing. The way that these other districts did it was that they nominated the supervisory union treasurer as the unified school district treasurer and then voted them in as if it was the way we elected Marco and myself to our positions for you folks, okay, at the meeting from the floor. You could conceivably go that way. Other towns have done it. The recommendation of the lawyer was to put it as an article instead.
So we could do a two-step article. We can do step A, if you want to appoint the SU
Yep.
treasurer, and then part B can be if part A fails, then not elect blank for a treasurer.
Yeah, skip over the nomination and vote for a treasurer because you're already.
So the second one would be if the first one fails, if
Yeah.
this article.
You could word it something like that. Maybe a call to the attorney would be appropriate when you're wording that, Richie. I don't know, but it sounds good to me.
Okay, so let's discuss that, if you're okay, so that we
Yeah, go right
can
ahead.
cover that. So what do you guys think what does the board think?
Is it a specific person, the SU treasurer, are you voting, or just that the person in that
Well, I think we
position?
could make it the SU treasurer, so that if it changes, it would be that person.
That's what I would do. But, you know, the whole thing is kind of crazy because, you know, so I think you have a lot of leeway. You can do it, it's already wonky.
Right.
You're not gonna,
Right, not gonna
you know.
look at it. Okay.
Yeah. not gonna make it less wonky.
Right.
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 Is that a true word?
Might be, yeah, sure.
Sir, Barry, any?
I mean, that
Oh.
is going to ideally make the process easier to have the supervisor union treasurer to be the treasurer for the new school district, right?
We're paying her anyways.
Yeah, yeah.
What was the problem we had was we had a treasurer, but we were assuming that the SU, they're gonna be running the books, essentially. So that's what it's gonna be that way anyway. It's just the treasurer was just kind of title only. Is that correct?
Well, by electing the person as treasurer, they have a whole bunch of statutory rights.
Okay.
That then it gets confusing as who's actually responsible and who's not.
Right, okay.
So that's why if we name the SU person, then they have the ability to do that.
Right.
And then they still have the checks and balances within the office, because within the business office at the SU, they have the treasurer, and then they have a payrolls clerk, and then they have a receivables clerk, and a payables clerk, and then there's checks and balances in that office too.
Okay.
So in Wyndham Central currently, Dover and Marlborough are the only two that use our town treasurer as a school treasurer. All the other school districts including Wardsboro, I believe,
Yes.
utilizes the business office. We didn't do that because it saved us money, and during Act 60, the town, we actually, prior to Act 60, we used to pay a chunk of money to the town for the treasurer's spot. And then when Act 60 was coming down the pike, we stopped that so that we had some history, so that wouldn't be there.
Wasn't going into your school number.
Right. And then if you look at the SU budget, there's a section on business office, and you'll see that Marlboro and Dover pay a lesser share than everybody else because of that. Because Marco saves us money on that side.
Do we need to check with that person, that position, that they're willing to accept the position?
They have no.
They have no choice, okay.
They have no choice.
All right. And how much do they get paid? Do we determine that, like we determine the pay?
Well, it's part of the SU assessment.
Okay.
So the SU hires a business manager, and they give them a salary that we all get to vote on at the SU level. So that's when we do, remember, at the SU level, we do 3 or 4 different budgets. So the SU budget, there's an administrative budget that covers the superintendent, his secretary, the
Right.
business office, and then we have the special ed budget, and then we have the grants budget, and then we have the agency fee budget. I think there's 5, and I'm missing one. You remember, Rick?
No, I can't.
You would know.
Definitely.
Essentially, he was doing the work anyhow.
Grants.
Right.
To give him a title.
Yeah.
Their grants
Okay.
budget too.
Yeah, grants, yes, I think grants and,
So does this mean we won't have to worry about having a stipend for that position?
correct.
Okay, so technically that's savings of some money.
But the stipends are, Andy's,
I
they're
know,
asking
the
for
min-
like $500. It's not huge.
$3 an hour.
They did pretty
Depends
well
on
this year.
what-
Andy's
Maybe-
biggest stipend is $2,000 if we really run him through the ringer.
Hopefully you don't choose
Well,
that
that's-
option.
That's,
I
we're
think-
talking about the trip, right?
Well,
Not the treasurer.
Right.
I didn't put anything in for the treasurer.
Oh.
I have no idea about treasurer stuff. Marco.
Marco, how much
better
would
about that.
you want for,
Nothing,
um,
because most of the bookkeeping is done here and at the SU. The SU handles all of the SU accounting as it relates to the SU and the school. Lori does the payroll and the bills. She sends them up to me, we put them in the system, verify it, and off they go. So I have oversight. So that's why I didn't feel like I was, entitled to get anything more, since, it's just kind of the town's been good to me, so. so,
and I
so.
wonder, and with the River Valleys though, how is that gonna, well, that's gonna be for the administration to tell us how that's.
The only
gonna-
thing though is that I don't know, will I still be collecting the money presumably from taxpayers?
Yeah,
And then
no.
funding,
Because remember,
Yeah.
the town collects a tax, so.
right,
You'll get a letter, just like you do now for
Right.
this, because it's how the Leland and Gray towns work.
Right.
And you'll get a letter saying how much you collect,
Mhm.
and it'll be like, there'll be a thing, collecting for the River Valley School, the money
Right.
comes to you, and then they give you your payment schedule, so
Right.
instead of cutting the check to yourself with your other hat, you would just cut the check to Wyndham Central River Valley
Right.
account, and then you would ship it to them, they would deposit it, and they would keep the bank accounts.
Right. So I don't know if there's still some oversight on my part, going forward.
I don't
I don't
think
know.
so, as town
So-
treasurer, no.
Right.
I don't believe so. I think the only oversight would be just that you send a check, you get told what,
Mhm.
you get told what to invoice, what the tax rate is.
Right.
You would put it on the tax bills, and
Right.
then you get a certain percentage. Don't you get to keep like 0.5% for collecting the tax for or is
It's
that?
yeah, the town keeps that.
Right.
Yeah.
And then the town gets money towards reappraisal from
Yes,
state tax too, right?
yes,
To keep the tax, okay.
yeah. I heard some talk about
Nice.
they're going to be using a new accounting system that would have to be linked to what I'm currently using now. Is that, who's in charge of that?
Yeah.
The treasurer we're talking about, a couple meetings ago.
Well, yes, the Wyndham Central's looking at doing a new accounting system.
Mm-hmm.
And then the problem is the state's going to a different accounting system too, but they haven't made their final decision yet. So we're hoping that they're gonna decide that, so we all have the same thing. But part of our grant is gonna go towards the central office doing a bunch of the bookkeeping stuff by making a chart of accounts for the two buildings and the new school district.
So
And,
they're going to be in charge of handling that?
yeah,
Okay.
yes. Yeah, so you wouldn't have to worry about any of that, any setting up accounts for the two,
Right.
for the
Well,
two
I'm happy to
districts.
help if there's a transition, whatever needs to be done, so.
I'm pretty sure the idea is on July 1st of 2019, we're supposed to cut a check. Both schools, districts are supposed to cut checks to the new school district, and then we're all done. So, thoughts? Thank you, Marco.
Oh, one other thing, budgets and stuff for town reports and
No, it'd be
that doesn't,
the River
Right.
Valleys has to do,
Right.
because they're gonna have a different meeting.
right.
So they would
Well,
have
you,
to
from now, I don't really get involved in the school's budget now anyway, it's you and administrator and so.
Well, you do on
yeah.
the income side and the
A
balance.
little bit, yeah,
But yeah, instead of being so that when the town report now goes out, it's not, it may have something about the River Valley School, but there won't be a whole school section, because at town meeting in Dover, there's only gonna be, after this year, there's only gonna be the town side, there's not gonna be any school discussion. Yes.
Which brings the question to mind. Each of the towns publishes a town report. Is there going to be just general River Valley School Unified District update in it? How much information?
No, because the River Valleys will be meeting before the towns, so they have to publish a report prior to that.
Right. But does the board want to include just a letter or a statement for the
They're
record?
gonna have to publish their own report, the whole
Alright.
standalone report has to go to the exact same people that the town reports go to.
Okay.
So it's almost like a duplication, but
Might be a good idea, though.
I was just thinking a one-page statement, which is like a little progress report, not so much numbers, but, just reminding people of the work you accomplished so far. I mean, at least it'll be bound in the book for posterity or something.
okay.
For our annual meeting, for this February annual meeting?
Are you talking just this year? or-
Yeah,
Well, no, this year there's gonna be school stuff in the report. Because there's still, both schools still have to go to town meeting this year.
right.
Right, so after this year, in the Dover Town report, there will not be, on Dover Town meeting, there will be nothing discussed about schools.
I get
Because
it.
it's a
I
town
know
meeting,
that.
it's not a school district meeting. The school district meeting will be almost a month ahead of that.
I know.
So they'll have to get the school district stuff will have to go out a month before the town thing goes out, the town
Right.
report goes out. It's gonna go to the exact same people that get the town report. However, the town report's distributed is the school report has to be.
But the town reports will no longer contain any school
No,
info.
because it's not a town school district.
Correct,
Okay.
all right. But there should be a page in there somewhere that says, there's no school stuff in here because you got that in another report or something.
I don't see a problem with using the town report as a way to communicate with the voters if you wanted to include a one-page informational thing in the town report. You know, not that it would be brought up at town meeting at all, but a lot of people at town meeting are the people you're gonna wanna try and reach, maybe just as a communications tool, I think.
That's
is
what I was
what
Yeah,
was
the whole
thinking
problem
about it.
is, the school meeting's a month before the town meeting, so they'll get that probably after the school district meeting,
So you're not gonna communicate about that meeting, but you could still communicate with voters free of charge by handing them something that's, they're gonna look through.
Okay.
It's worth considering, in
Yeah,
my
it was
opinion.
just, like, here's our blog site, here's where we have our meetings, here's what we're trying to accomplish before the next year end, here's where you'll look for our information a year from now. Like, just, 3 paragraphs or something that says signed by y'all.
You love making me write reports, don't you?
I think that,
One page.
yeah, give an update of what we've done so far and what our timeframes.
And we're gonna do that, we have to do that anyways, because we have to put that in our report that we need to send out a month before the other report goes out. So I'm just seeing a duplication of efforts, we can duplicate, I do it a lot. But, I mean, that's not for here nor there, because that's a year down the road.
Right.
So, let's not get hung up on that. The question right now is, what are we gonna do on the treasurer's thing? Are we happy with that? Are we happy moving forward, having a 2-part question?
And what if part 1 fails, though? I guess that would
Then
be-
part 2 would be, we have to elect somebody from the electorate to be our
That person needs
treasurer.
to be qualified too, though, right? No?
No,
Okay.
we can elect Matt Armstrong as treasurer,
We're gonna let the person that, that brought up the discussion to
Yeah.
say we don't want to.
or we can elect Andy.
Okay.
No, you can't. But
He would
Marco,
respectfully decline.
No, Marco
would be a
would do it.
logical choice. I mean, I think.
Yeah, it's just that you don't want.
Does it have to
I
be
don't-
there, or the part 2?
Yeah,
just
because
in case?
I think we need a fallback in case part 1 fails.
Yes.
Okay.
If the voters feel very strongly that, no, we want it to be somebody from the electorate.
Right.
So I think, Marco, where we're at is, we're gonna do a 2-part question. We'll go through the supervisory union. If that fails and they want somebody from the electorate, then you gotta be ready to stand up and say, I'm your man. So have a speech ready.
Sure.
Or one of
But
us
he
just
still-
has to be ready to nominate him from the floor.
Yeah.
So if he is elected, let's say that does happen, but is the supervisor union still doing or running our books?
Yeah.
So the only difference is we have treasurer doing oversight,
Yeah, so then they would just have to run everything through him.
He still holds the funds, though.
but he's not doing,
Well, no, the SU would probably still wind up holding the funds. Because remember, the
What
checks,
about the
because
treasurer?
remember, part of this whole deal is, the state didn't like sending a check to the Wardsboro school and to the Dover
But then
school.
the problem I have with that though is that I'm responsible for stuff that I don't even see people, they're not in the same building, it's just, it's very disjointed.
Yeah, well-
It's one thing if you have a staff that you're overseeing, I talk to Lori all the time, I'm in talks with Matt, it's different, but that's not a very good way to do it.
yeah, I can see maybe just some
That's-
Yeah.
oversight, maybe
That's
some reviewing things.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what the audit, so it's more of an auditor position than it is a treasurer.
Right, just kind of, okay. Well, we'll have to be forceful in that.
Yeah, I mean, because the other problem is the state, that's part of this whole
Right.
thing was they want to have less people they're dealing with. They want to, they're going to save a pile of money by cutting, 10 less checks in Liberty County a year. Remember, I didn't vote for this.
All right.
Where is she?
All right.
So then we got to go to back to the clerk issue.
First, we're gonna look at the floor vote for Wardsboro directors.
Okay.
Okay, so, the attorney said on page 6 of my little handout, should be highlighted there for you. Basically, you guys can vote to change that final report and allow Wardsboro to vote its directors from the floor like they always have. He said if you wanted to go the conservative route, you could put it in front of the voters, but it's not like the budget vote. The concerns are different, and he's comfortable with you folks deciding that in one of your meetings. So you don't need to put an article in your warning to allow Wardsboro to do that. You could vote tonight to do that. You know, I don't know how Wardsboro feels about it, but
Thank you,
keeping
Anita.
people like things to stay the same, you know.
Auntie, you're referring also to the board, when you're saying directors, you mean the 3 representatives on the board from Wardsboro?
Yes,
Yes, okay.
right, yep, yep.
So, Rick and Dwight and Barry, that more affects you guys.
Are you talking this year?
Well, he's saying we do it right now, because there's no
Well,
election this year
I
for
was just gonna
directors.
say, there's no,
There's no rush, you can do it whenever you want.
But my thought, well, just an opinion is, because we presented it to the voters, and they voted by ballot, and in our articles, we said all directors would be elected by ballot. I think we should put it on as an article and discuss it at the meeting and have it voted on by the electorate. Just explain to them that this is specific to Wardsboro, but we all get to vote.
What vote? I'm sure they don't understand.
The vote to allow you folks to vote, to allow the Wardsboro directors to be voted on from the floor.
But that's not necessary, we can do it.
It's not necessary, but we did put it in the articles that all directors would be voted on by ballot.
Mhm.
And although he says he feels we can do that now, I think if you give it to the voters, maybe the Wardsboro voters want to vote by ballot. Maybe they don't want to vote from the floor.
One thing you might consider as well, though, is if you set up a precedent where every time, if you're gonna change that final report, and you take it to the voters in this instance, the next instance, you're probably gonna wanna take it to the voters. And you have clearly the right to change it yourselves.
So,
I don't know, just something.
so wait,
to
and
think about.
for here, so in the original articles, it states, so are we voting to amend the original articles?
No, we're just voting to have the directors from Wardsboro elected by a floor vote, not by
But, it's-
a ballot.
but it's contradicts what it says in the,
I think you would amend them.
I think you need to amend.
Well, no, we wouldn't be amending the articles, because we can't amend articles, can we?
Yeah.
Okay. So
Okay.
yes, we're going to amend the articles.
So maybe then I would agree with you that it should be to the voters, should discuss it, and make a decision. So if we have voters voting on it, then making an amendment would,
how unnecessary do you think it is?
I don't know. I don't think it's necessary, but if-
Really, honestly, the first year.
oh,
I mean, I think you can do it when it comes up for a vote.
yeah.
Well, I think we're gonna wanna do it well before the next election, not this March, because if it's gonna affect, because not this year, but next year, we have to elect a director in each town. And how is that director gonna be elected? And what we're doing is we're also making it that the director's not gonna be elected at the school district meeting from the floor. They're gonna be elected at the town meeting from the floor, is that correct? Or do you, how do
Yeah,
you wanna
that
do
is
that?
correct.
Because you may wind up, because remember, every other year, you vote in Dover. So it's gonna be a little more difficult, because we're gonna have to separate the Dover voters for that one vote if we do it at the school district
Oh, so
meeting.
you're saying the directors are being voted on at our annual meeting, the River Valley? Or
No, that's what I'm saying, if we
Oh.
do vote on them, it's gonna be a little more difficult,
Sure.
and every other year, you're gonna be voting in Dover, where if you were to do it at your town meeting, just
Yeah,
have the
right.
one vote from the floor
Yeah.
for the school director, you know, you've already identified your people, but then you've got, so there's some, how does that all work?
You would vote your school directors at your town meeting by ballot or by floor vote. I don't think you need to worry about voting school directors at your annual meeting, River Valley's annual meeting. So if you wanted to, the next time you vote on school directors is gonna be 2020. If you wanted to allow Wardsboro to.
2019.
2019,
Is it really 2019?
Yeah. We don't, in 2018, we won't vote on school directors because we did it 2, 3, and 4-year terms. So there is nobody up for election.
so if you wanted to vote them in Wardsboro from the floor, the way you have, then, and you wanted to allow the voters to decide that and not this board, then you should put an article on this warning to do that, so they
Or
can
would
vote on that.
would it be on this warning, or would it be on the town?
No, it would be
This
on this
one.
warning. Because it would be, the River Valleys would be allowing an amendment to the articles that we presented to them. The other hand, like Andy says, we also could, I can make a motion tonight to say, you know, the Wardsboro director will be voted on by the floor vote at the Wardsboro town meeting. She could second it, and we could all vote on it, and it would be allowed then, and then we would just let people
And
know.
it will be voted on at this meeting as
It
well?
it could be voted on at this meeting. I would recommend that we don't, because
Yeah.
A, we haven't warned it,
Right.
and B, that's definitely a vote I would think we would want to take over on the Wardsboro side, just
Yeah.
to allow those people a chance to come and speak. And the only reason I thought, Rick, of putting it in the article this year, so we could have a discussion about it, is, you know, maybe people really want to vote by ballot anyways, and maybe we're doing the wrong thing. You know, I don't know what the
That's fine.
feeling.
I don't know.
And it's more for you guys, and I think the Wardsboro people should tell us what you would recommend. And, I mean, I'm more than willing to go with your recommendations.
Right. I mean, traditionally, we voted, you know, from the floor. It seems we want to do the same thing, but I like the idea of some discussion in the group. And I'm not quite sure, I understand. The article is here, but yet we can discuss it at the town meeting?
No, you wouldn't
No.
discuss it at the town
At all.
meeting, you just, right, you just, the only thing that happens at the town meeting, and it doesn't really happen at the town meeting, okay? Technically, it's all in the lawyer's gobbledygook, but it's technically a River Valleys Unified School District meeting that takes place on the same day, you know, simultaneously or right after town meeting. It's a little bit, it's all RSRVUSD meeting we're talking about. It's just where and when does it happen? You know, and so in order to vote from the floor and change this stuff at your annual meeting, it will be on the second Tuesday in February, River Valley's meeting.
Okay.
And the only thing that happens on town meeting is the actual voting for the whatever Australian ballot stuff you have. And it's not really actually part of town meeting, it's a little piece of your meeting.
Okay.
So that's the only, if it was something you guys felt we should change, and you guys felt that we should do it at, you know, have a vote of the group, then we need to put it on this ballot, because, or we would need to put it on this warning, because to do it next year, it would be too late.
Unless we voted board to make the change.
Right, or unless we decide just to, so I guess the first
I think
question
I-
is, how
right.
comfortable do you three guys feel about, should it be a vote of this board, or do you want to bring it to the voters, the electorate, in February?
I don't know, I just feel like, I mean, we should have continuity between the two towns. If we're gonna do it, you guys are gonna do it by ballot, we should probably do it by ballot. I mean, we don't have that many people that normally show up. I mean, this is like one unit now. We should probably do things the same, but that's just my opinion.
I agree.
You,
I don't know.
It's gonna be a lot of training for people just to, I mean, just this whole process, I think, is gonna train people in a different way.
I don't know, maybe I think the Wardsboro should stay with tradition, and we should vote from the floor like we've always had for our school directors. But I do like the idea of discussing it at this meeting to see what people's take is on it.
so how about if we do this, if you want, Rick, if this is good with the Wardsboro guys, why don't we put it under other business to have that discussion? And then, based on what Amy's telling us, if 90% of the people in Wardsboro say, hey, we want to vote from the floor at town meeting, then we as a board can take that and say, okay, well, we're gonna make that motion, and we can do it at any time thereafter, and then we can just make the change ourselves.
Right.
So we'll have it as one of those other business things.
That's what I would think.
That's fine.
Is that good?
Yeah.
And then just, Dwight, maybe you present it, that, this is,
Sure.
I
okay.
mean, are you talking about having other businesses, something warned for the,
Under other business, we have several things, so we will add
Right.
to discuss.
you're talking about it for the annual meeting?
Right.
Yes.
Yes,
Yeah.
okay.
Sounds good.
Okay. Cool. Okay, so we killed two birds.
We got two, we got one more.
Okay, discuss
The budget vote.
election of Woodsboro.
And this is what you're gonna be amazed at. Okay? Page 2.
Oh,
Yeah. I also included the big narrative that I wrote last time, but I don't think that worked very well. I think this might be a little more clear.
this is why Andy does our
I
town
can
report.
see arrows.
Basically, okay, you have to make a decision on how to vote your budget. The way it's currently set up in the final report is it's at town meeting, the left-hand green box there, by Australian ballot, and the ballots are commingled. Okay?
And that's what's in the articles.
That's what's in the articles, yes.
Okay.
Yep, that's how it currently stands. That's the way you have to do it in 2019, according to the attorney. You cannot change it for 2019. You can change it after 2019.
But we don't have much to, well,
Well, I
No.
think we will have a budget.
Remember, we will have, that will be our first budget.
So, basically, at Leland and Gray, they do it at town meeting by Australian ballot, but their ballots are not commingled, okay? So in other words, at town meeting, right on my Dover ballot, I put a question about the budget. The Dover voters vote. We tally that up separately. I call, the River Valley's Union School District clerk, and I say, okay, Dover voted 104, 2 against. And Jackie in Woodsboro calls up, Woodsboro voted, 54, 4 against. And that school district clerk adds those 2 columns of 2 numbers each, and they're done. Okay, so that's an easy logistical way to do it right there. When you commingle ballots, each town has to have 2 ballots. In Woodsboro, if you don't have a ballot already, you would have to have the 1 ballot. Every 4 years, you have a presidential primary on town meeting day, so it'd be 2 or 3 ballots. Different checklists for all the ballots, different ballot boxes. At the end of the night, the towns don't count those ballots as part of their normal process with their BCA and their town clerk, and then call up the school district clerk. Those ballots get packaged up, not counted, packaged up, and sent to the unified school district clerk, who then opens them up and counts all of the Dover-Wardsboro votes with a combined BCA.
And the
Logistically,
ballots
it's a
have to be
nightmare.
the same too, so you don't know whose vote is whose.
Yeah, and this all happens after you're done with town meeting, so this process starts at like 9 PM. It's insane, but that's how it's currently set up, okay? The third column would be if you decided to vote your budget the way we currently vote our budgets, okay? Which is from the floor at an annual meeting. So at your second Tuesday in February meeting, you would do the same thing you've always done at town meeting. You folks would present the budget, the people would ask questions, they would have a chance to propose amendments, they could argue back and forth, you can come to a consensus, it's a floor vote, all in favor say aye, all opposed nay. Those are basically your 3 choices. I tried to outline the pros and cons of each choice, all right? And at the bottom, I put what you might expect to pay your district clerk to do these things, okay? So the nightmare scenario on the left is gonna cost you $2,000. All right, and now, in all fairness, what you get for commingling your ballots is, there is no separate count for each town. So there's no, nobody will know Dover voted, 400 against and 2 for, and Wardsboro voted, 100 for and 2 against. So that it creates a more unified approach to your district, right? It doesn't pit the towns against themselves potentially with a vote that might negatively impact one town over the other unfairly. All right, so you do get that with the nightmare scenario. But,
You also kind of get that with the floor vote too, unless somebody,
That's right.
is there trying to, when the show of hands goes
Well-
up, they can count real fast.
That's right.
yes, and as well, often I'm surprised by the voters, like they'll vote and I'll say, oh, I didn't see that coming, in having the votes for the specific towns counted and public, it's harder for me to say Dover voted against that and Wardsboro voted for it. When maybe there were a lot of people in Dover who voted differently than I thought they would. The value of it's a little ambiguous. And not commingling your ballots like Leland and Gray does is a lot easier on the clerk and a lot cheaper for you. Okay, so now the floor vote though,
Just ask
Yeah,
one more
and-
question.
yes,
So when you're talking about having a different BCA, Board of Civil Authorities for
Yes.
this, so we have to go through, I forgot how, they're either appointed, elected, so we're gonna have to find a new group of,
okay.
making up a new Board of Civil Authorities?
Basically, the folks counting your ballots would be made up of representatives from the Board of Civil Authority in Dover and the Board of Civil Authority in Wardsboro, and they would have to come together in a central location,
Okay,
is what they say, with the clerk, and get the ballot counting done.
okay.
It's difficult to get the Board of Civil Authority from one town in their own town hall,
Right.
at 7 and dismiss them at 9. To then tell them they have to go to it's crazy, but that's who would be counting your ballots. And yes, go ahead.
Then you also had some of the recommendations about needing some machinery for, if we did the commingled ballots.
Yes, yes. One thing that would make that scenario a lot easier is if you had a vote tabulator. Okay, and the Secretary of State's office told me that they would most likely give me a vote tabulator. Will Senning was very positive about that. He has to talk to Jim Condos, but he seemed to think that we could get a vote tabulator, which will eliminate some of the issues here. It'll cost you a good deal more money to configure the tabulator for every vote, but nonetheless, it would make it a more doable proposition.
Meaning here you go, we like you, here's a free gift.
Um,
Or,
Basically, the state of Vermont, mandated that towns with voter lists over 1,000 use a tabulator
Okay.
for state and federal elections. So they bought tabulators with a grant and will provide them to towns. There was some question as to whether unified school districts qualified, and I explained to Will what I just explained to you, and he said, oh yeah, you need a tabulator. And so they had a few left, and we're supposed to be getting one. But it hasn't been, I haven't seen the tabulator yet, so I'm not counting
So
on it.
which scenario is that for?
the first one.
That's for the first
Night.
scenario.
So how does that work, having one tabulator? So everybody has to vote at the same place?
Okay, so, no, people vote in Dover and people vote in Wardsboro. Depending upon who is your clerk and where they're gonna count the ballots, that's where your tabulator will be. So if Dover
Oh,
and,
so you would just bring the votes to the tabulator?
yes,
So it's not like we do now where after we vote, we feed it into the tabulator?
no, you might be able to get away with that. If one of the town clerks was your clerk, okay, you might be able to get away with that and call it commingling. You might not. I haven't really looked into that.
Okay.
But,
But then that town clerk, after doing their
right,
regular business, is then,
Has to
yes,
feed
and
all
the
other ones.
tabulator eliminates a lot of issues. However, every ballot still needs to be looked at. You still need the whole BCA to get together, break the ballots into stacks of 50, each pair gets a stack. You go through every ballot, still, to check for write-ins, voter intent that the tabulator would have missed, et cetera, et cetera. It's still a long, drawn-out, nasty, awful thing. But it would be easier with the tabulator.
The only good thing is it's only one question though, it's a yes or no, right?
That's a positive. I still don't like it.
So usually you don't have a write-in on a yes or no type of question.
Oh, right.
Shouldn't
Voter
be.
intent, you'd be looking for
Yeah.
voter intent.
But it's still, I understand, after you've spent all the time doing all your local stuff, then another group has to come together and try to do, yeah, I see it as real hard.
Yeah, I'll help, if you want to choose that, and you want me to help you, I will help you the first year. And then you need to find somebody else.
No, I think it's
Honestly,
very fair.
that's how it's gonna work.
Could you, I'm sorry.
Yes, go
I
ahead.
was wondering if it's gonna be switching every year that the meeting is switching, we could alternate clerks.
No, you need to make,
You
have to
can't
elect a
alternate if
clerk.
I'm one of the clerks.
Okay,
And you
I'm out.
make the other
1
clerk.
year.
that's it.
So Andy,
I mean, it's just-
let me throw,
yes.
can I throw this out, guys? So, again, I think this, because we're stuck for the first year having to do late item 1, let's try to get
Yes.
the free tabulator.
Yep,
Let's try to make it as painless as possible for Andy, and you've got a board that can help you out. But how about at this town meeting, or this school district meeting, can you, under other business again, make this presentation to the people?
here's what you need to do.
Yeah.
You need to make the presentation. If you want me to be your clerk, you need to say, we nominate Andy to be our clerk, and we strongly suggest you vote for him. They vote for me. Then you need to say, we recommend in the article, written, and you need to stand up and say, we recommend that he get $2,000 in stipend to do this job this 1 year. And then the voters need to vote affirmatively. Then I'm your clerk and I will do this job. Any of that doesn't happen, I'm not your clerk, I'm not doing the job. Now, ideally, and I can help you with this, a conversation starts and you make people aware of the different benefits of these 3 different options and see which one they want ultimately. And then you know how to move forward, And moving forward, in any case, I think the best bet is for you to find a very qualified, Anita would be perfect if she was willing to do it. She's impressing me. You need to find a qualified person, preferably from Wardsboro, I'd say. Wardsboro has fewer voters, fewer kids, more to lose. I think it would be wonderful if they had more of an investment, in the whole process and having a clerk. I'll help train that person, I'll be there for them, I'll do whatever they need me to do. But this first meeting, if you want me to handle that vote for you, that's what I need. And those are the only decisions you have to make for this warning regarding this, is
Okay,
whether
but
you want to nominate
so-
me, and what you put down.
We have to do this for the first one. I
Yep.
think we should do that just because we have such a short period of time, but that's up to us as a group to decide. But the second thing is, I still would like, I think this is a really good discussion to have under other business, that to let people know, look, this is how we're gonna vote now, but just to get input from people so that, because how do we to change this, we have to go by ballot, right? How do we
Yes.
change?
Okay, so,
So
yes.
if we have to go by ballot, wouldn't it make sense to get it to people now so they can kind of get an understanding so that we could do a ballot at the next meeting? Because we have to vote that way anyways at the next meeting, but at the next meeting, besides voting your ballot for your budget, there'll also be a ballot question, you know.
In 2019, 2019 is the magic date, when you want to have it nailed down, what you want, what your people want, what's best for the kids, right? And then in 2019, you'll know what to put down as articles on your warning. This warning, this 2018 warning, all you need to know is whether you want me to do the job in 2019, and the fact that you'll stand behind the $2,000.
Yeah, but I would like to also have under other
Yeah,
business.
right, yes.
This,
Yep.
to talk about this,
Good
because
idea.
we'll have the electorate there. And not only that, but it'll give us, because if it becomes a ballot question for town meeting, it can also be discussed the following year at the River Valley's annual meeting. So it'll have been discussed both in Dover and in Wardsboro, so it covers both sides. And I think it would be a really good,
How does Dover vote their budget now?
by the floor, from the
From
floor,
the floor.
just like you guys.
Just like this.
Yeah.
So as clerk, you'll
Hmm.
have one budget vote.
If we get him his $2,000.
Yes, 2019, I will do the first budget vote, if you nominate me and I'm elected.
Right. You'll
Yes,
have
sir.
And
one
we stand by getting
Yeah.
first
$2,000.
budget.
Yep. One thing I didn't ask you, Richie, which I'm curious about, with the terms being fiscal years, why did you do that? Is that?
Because that's what was recommended to us, because of the town meeting and the school district meeting being on different dates, so there's some continuity.
Right. Yep.
And also so that if something changes, you know, like, let's say Marco says, I'm gonna be treasurer for 2 years, and third year he doesn't wanna be treasurer, at least he finishes out his year as treasurer, so his
Okay.
fiscal year meets with
Alright.
his election,
Okay.
and same with the clerk, so.
All right.
And I've often, so a lot of school districts actually do that, is although you vote for somebody on town meeting day, they don't take their seat until some point thereafter.
Yep.
Because then whatever's happening can finish up and there's
Yep.
not a, you
Right.
know, it more coordinates with some event,
Right.
like the end of school or.
Yeah, the only thing I'll say, and then I'll get out of your hair about this, is it's a very difficult decision. It is incredibly difficult.
And that's why I
Um,
think 2 years of discussion is good.
Incredibly difficult decision. I can't imagine not doing a floor vote for the budget. It rubs me the wrong way. I think that budgets should be done from the floor. And I think, I don't know how it wound up that it was made an Australian ballot vote, but I think that,
I think it's
I
that
think
law, I
that's-
think, you know, when you say.
it is the law, but I don't know if it was the Agency of Education. I mean, I often think that, floor ballot votes for budgets tend to create crises. It's a way to, if you want things to change, the impetus to change is to have the budget voted down. I shouldn't even go there.
Without discussion.
Yeah, no discussion.
No discussion.
You don't have to
If you
go.
have a
you don't-
problem with it, come up with another number.
Exactly.
Do it right then and do it right.
Right, but when it's a ballot vote, the folks aren't gonna come to your meeting in February.
Right.
They're gonna go to town meeting, go into the ballot booth and vote, based on the fact they just paid their taxes. At your meeting in February, they will come, they will hear your explanation of the budget, they will hear their neighbors and the other parents speaking up, they'll hear the taxpayers who don't have kids speaking up, and we all come together and all right, let's amend the budget, line item, let's take that out, let's beef that one up, and losing that kills me. The only reason you would do that is because you're gonna get a higher turnout at town meeting day by Australian ballot.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe. And one thing that impresses me about you folks is your willingness to invest in the publicity and the reaching out to the voters. And that's something you would really need in order to go with the floor vote, with your February vote. You need to reach out to people and get them at that meeting.
So I really hope though, under other business, I was gonna put it down as, discuss the future budget votes, Australian ballot versus, floor vote.
Mhm.
And I really would like I would like to be able to use your chart here.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'd like you to speak towards it too, because I think, as a town
Okay.
clerk and as somebody who's very invested in the public and involvement, that it would be a really good thing. And maybe you can talk to your counterpart in Wardsboro and
Okay.
then the board will have opinions, and although it's not a decision thing, I think it would really give the board a lot of good input on what people are thinking. And then we can have that same discussion the following year. And then, because, and put something on the ballot for the towns to vote at that first budget vote, but then also, to be able to discuss it and get it out there and
Yep.
see what people think.
Good idea, Rich.
If it is a floor vote, are you talking about two towns voting for one budget in two different places at the
No,
same time?
so the river valleys will have an annual meeting every year, but in the even number of years, it'll be held in Dover, and in odd number of years, it'll be held in Wardsboro. So that's a problem. You can't have two different groups in
Right.
different locations.
That's why Andy was saying lower voter turnout if Wardsboro
Couldn't
and
you
the,
teleconference?
The problem is you don't know who people are. So, I can get 1,000 of my best friends, which really is only one, maybe.
No, I mean, like have
What's
both-
Chris doing
both
tonight?
towns and
No,
just have a screen up and, people talking.
We've actually
It's
had
really
meetings
interesting
with
idea.
teleconferencing, and it is the most difficult thing in the world, especially depending where you are and how good your internet is. Okay, Andy, any other thoughts?
That's it.
Anybody have any questions for Andy from the board?
I have a quick question.
Yes, sir.
We go down this road
Yep.
and we fail.
You fail.
The budget fails.
Okay.
Do we have to go down this road again?
Yes.
Until it?
Yes.
Until it passes?
Yes.
Okay.
And guess what, if you go down that road and it doesn't pass,
That'll be interesting.
the state gives us a budget.
Oh, I know.
So-
No, I know.
Ugh.
It's not good politics to have your budget fail.
No.
No, but, and again, there's budgets that have failed because there was something that
Because
the
it's
board
lack
didn't
of
put in.
information, because there's no
Yeah.
input from people, because they have no
Right.
outlet
I'm speaking of
to get
somebody.
over misunderstandings.
Right, right.
Don't walk away yet.
Okay.
Anybody from the public have any questions
Yeah,
before we let Andy go? I'm trying to give you 20 minutes of fame.
thank you so
Hey,
much.
thanks, man.
Thank you so much.
Hey, excellent work, buddy.
Appreciate it.
And so, do you need anything from us? Should we write a letter to the Secretary of State about giving Andy?
I'll let you know. Let me call Will again. He told me, Will was very positive. He said,
Okay.
I'll get it for you, but he still was going to talk to Jim. And
Because
so,
we need it for the first year anyways.
yes, I mean, it would make things easier, but we'll do it the first year. We'll get it done no matter what, if I'm clerk.
Okay.
If not, like I said, somebody like Anita, she could handle this. It would be difficult, but, it's not necessarily that you have to go and nominate me by any means. If you nominate somebody else, I would still recommend you stick with these stipend recommendations. I wouldn't go below them. But it's up to you. It's all good. And I would urge you to consider long-term, at least, choosing somebody from Woodsboro.
Cool.
All right?
Thank you, Eddie.
Yep.
Okay. So, on the ballot. So, we have to put in Article 3A to elect a treasurer and to, 2A, to elect a clerk, and then to set a stipend of $2,000 for the fiscal year 2019. Marco, if you were to be elected treasurer, would you, should be a couple hundred, $500?
No, right now, it's very much an oversight kind of thing, so I wouldn't even take anything, to be honest with you. Because right now, it's all part of what I do. You know
Okay.
what I mean? So a few $100s wouldn't really do anything, and
Okay. And then, so we got to vote to compensate the directors at and the chair at if you want to do it different. And let's pull the treasurer and the clerk out and we'll leave them in their separate line items. If that's okay with everybody. So what do you want to do for directors? So you guys may get in awards where you get
$500.
We said
500.
1,000 for this year, didn't we? We said it for,
1,000, I think so.
I think
Yeah.
from March to,
And Dover does too. So that was,
I hate to break it, you only get $200.
$200?
Yeah,
Did they raise it?
Woodsboro's 200.
I don't know, I haven't got paid yet.
maybe you did, and the wife took it already. So, Rick, it's gonna be a harder sell with you guys then, so. What are you thinking, man?
I think you said it at 1,000 last time. I think that's
Didn't
no
Right.
we,
problem.
yeah, we kind of split the difference. I think we kind of split the difference.
Okay.
These
Was
guys,
it at
these
1,000?
guys are 2,000, right?
Yeah. I don't think that's unreasonable. I mean, for years, people have said, pay yourselves $200. It was like, we really do it as, volunteerism more than, nobody's doing it for the money.
Right.
So, that's fair. I'm fine with
Yeah,
that.
We're
I'm fine
lower
with
there.
that, yeah.
Yeah, I know. If you guys are fine with that,
We're
you guys
lower.
are taking a 50%
It's really up
pay
to
cut.
you. We're getting a raise.
getting a
You're getting
demotion.
a demotion, so, if that's something that people in Dover feel is reasonable, I don't want to, take it away.
I haven't got paid either. So does it make a difference?
Yeah, let's move the question.
Well,
You should have
could be
gotten
a-
paid.
Yeah.
Matt, why didn't you get paid?
We cut it from the budget.
Yeah.
No, we didn't. No, you should have gotten a check last.
So I think we were
You
just
should
saying.
have got a
the
check in
question-
June. I know you got a check in
The
June.
question more falls to you, is if you're getting paid less than what you're currently being paid, rather than us. 'Cause we're getting a raise, we're getting a raise, so.
Whatever you guys want to do. Do you guys understand?
No, Rich, now that I think of it, if my role as treasurer stays the way it is now, where it's more oversight, then I really don't feel I should be getting anything more.
Right, and this will just
But-
be for that year.
Okay,
So there
but
will be no budget. with the
Right, so
treasurer.
that, and it's different than what Andy's got to put up with,
Right.
his is definitely a lot more.
In the next
involved.
year, he will have to do
Yeah.
an election.
Right, but where I was going is that if, for some reason going forward, I were still the treasurer and there were more, and the role changed whereby there
That
would be
be
more
discussed
involvement,
next year.
then that would be different. But as it stands right now, let's
And
just.
So for
yeah.
next year's, when we have this
Right.
discussion next year at this time, that's where we're gonna have to look
Okay.
at that.
Yeah.
Okay, so what number do you want to put in, 1,000?
Unless everybody's okay with that, hands on it.
Perfect. Okay, and then we'll set the date of the second Tuesday in February. And then we've added a couple things for other business. Is there anything else you folks want to see in the warning?
Weren't you gonna put the salary for the chair
We'll keep it all even for the
Okay.
first,
go around?
yeah. I think it's gonna be a pretty hard sell anyway. Everybody good?
Yes.
Okay, so I will correct this, get this out to everybody, make sure you look at it, because we have to vote on it at the next meeting, so we can get it out in time, okay?
Okay,
Hey, good work, guys.
excellent.
So, now I gotta find the agenda again. So here is the, if anybody wants, this is the calendar that we were discussing. Does anybody on the board need one?
No, right here.
Okay, so there if you wanna pass them around, there's some more there. Um, So we had, at the last meeting, we talked about some things that we need to be doing. So we kind of went through a list, we went over the list of items from the study. So I met with them, as we discussed at the meeting, Rick and I and Bill met, and we came up with the work schedule. So December through January, we have to do the consideration of offering offering voters floor vote option for future budget and board member elections. So we have that, we kind of actually covered that in December. Look at that. We got something done. Our annual meeting in February of 2018, we're pretty close to having that done. We're gonna have to set some informational meetings. And then we had the really tough question I brought up was, are we a new school district or are we combining two schools with one board? So December through, and I put question marks, contract negotiations, we've done our part, so we're kind of in a holding pattern. January through March, we got to work on a vision statement. And we got to work on five or so guiding principles. And we want to talk about community engagement, questionnaire for annual meeting, as well as shared during town meetings, school district meetings in March. March through May, program in the building, curriculum alignment, program enhancement. And then starting May through, so I don't know where it went, but there's supposed to be May through June through October. The administration is supposed to work on okay, you know what, there was an extra page, man, I'm sorry, I gave you the wrong one. So I have March through May, programming the buildings. This is a general discussion so that the administration can utilize for their work over the summer, not specific to positions, people, classes, but more guiding principles. We have to talk about, does IB fit in? We have to talk a little bit about transportation, educational opportunities, and I have a note, should this be with the top one, is the programming, the building curriculum, and building capital report to review that. And then June through July, the administration develops the specifics for the new unified school district. And this is where we let go of the reins in leading the ship to our world-class operation and allow the educational experts to do their work in designing a program that they believe meets and encompasses our mission, vision, and guiding principles after listening to the discussion and work done by the boards during the spring and early summer. The board will still meet, however, these meetings will be for the administration to request more guidance from the board and the public so that we as a group, public, administration, and board are in agreement and understanding so that the administration isn't working on something and then we say, oh my God, that's not what we meant or that's not what we thought about.
When you're referring to the administration,
Yep.
who do you mean by that?
The superintendent, that's our
Okay.
administrator.
Okay.
We don't, River Valley's Union
Well, I was
School
gonna say, we
District
don't
has
have
no
any-
administration
right,
other
has
than.
no
right,
employees.
Has no employees.
Right.
August, the administration unveils the specifics of the River Valley School, and the board and public work with the administration to complete the process as well as presenting to the public. And this may possibly be a longer work session, i.e. like a 3 to 9 p.m. dinner meeting. And then staffing, curriculum, grade structure, services, financial requirements, transportation, capital budgeting, equipment, and other needs. Other needed assets would all be discussed at that time. September through December is when the board and administration then have to work to create a budget for 2020 that is based on the work of the administration and the board, a capital budget, and plans for funding and the initial depositing to the capital budget, and then create the agenda for the FY20 meeting that will be held in February 2019. And then October through November, we could work on our secondary school choice tuition to recommend at the annual meeting, because that's something that will have to be in the warning next year, but not this year. And then May through October of 2019, we can work on the building of attendance. its new school starts
Yeah, September 2019.
September 2000, so that actually has to be really May through, that has to be done like in August.
I mean, October is delayed.
Yeah, so maybe we want to move, I wonder if this was supposed to be May through October 2018, I'm sorry. But we need to work on the building of attendance. So taking kind of breaking things down, I kind of came up, there was what I thought were some concentrations. So there's building and grounds is going to be a big one, mainly because we want to try to, make sure that we plan ahead for expenses and capital needs. Community engagement's a big one. I think we've kind of had that discussion several times. Education and curriculum is fairly big. Negotiations and transportation. And then I had question marks. I didn't know if there's anything else somebody thought we should kind of pull out of it that kind of doesn't fit in one of the headings that we had. And then I put us all down as point people, because then I thought we could have, instead of us all trying to do all the work at the same time, like Dwight has shown a lot of interest in the capital stuff. So maybe Dwight will become the point person on the capital, and, Dwight, you do whatever you need, get whatever help you need, but then, we would have reports at every meeting, and then you would just say, okay, on the capital, I had the capital people here, and they're making proposals, and at the next meeting, I'll be able to present them to you, type of thing. So, in general terms, let's just go through the work schedule before we get into too many specifics. Is everybody comfortable with the work schedule? Does everybody feel it's doable?
Yes.
And it's gonna be a little, it'll change, but I think we've got some pretty good guidelines, and I think we're following through already.
Is there a copy of that anywhere? Can I have one?
Here you go.
Yeah, the problem is it's only got 2 pages, I think.
Okay.
Oh, it's on the back side. Okay, I'm sorry. You're saying
Oh, that's
paper.
perfect, thanks.
Well, I'm wondering when I'm reading the wrong one. So, if everybody's okay, is there anything that we missed that anybody thinks needs to be done? Is there any topics that we've been discussing? And again, we can add stuff at a later date, but just for
We're
right
talking about
now.
policies tonight, that's not specifically addressed, but
No, and where I was thinking that was coming, Rick, was more over the summer after, because I'm thinking the administration may come up with some new policies that they would like, that would need to be enacted.
sure.
But maybe you want to just add that, so we, I think administration of so in August, administration avails the specifics, and including any policies they feel are required,
Not necessarily, that's what we got.
any policies they,
The state will tell us what's required.
yeah, well, we've hopefully done all of them. Policies they feel are necessary for the new district. And then why don't we do that, is where I had all the question marks and the concentrations, maybe we should have a policy concentration too. Okay,
What about students going from one town to the other, like there were students
Yeah.
going to Wardsboro?
that's just above there, it's building of attendance, yeah, it's on the 3rd page, under October, November. I had it May through October 2019, but it's gonna have to get moved up. Anything else?
The only thing that I was going to say, this isn't a set thing to do. This is actually more fun of opportunities built in within this time frame of kind of formal or informal gatherings of the 2 towns together that the school board, is sponsoring. We're talking about trying to get Dover and the Wardsboro community together besides these meetings of other more social opportunities. To try
I
to
was
do
saying
that.
that.
I think we were talking about that. It's just, that goes with community engagement, let them know what's happening. But, not necessarily making it like an evening meeting where, it's limited, making it more fun things of community picnic or things like that. I'm not talking about a lot, but maybe somewhere within this time frame to have that type of activity.
Would that be
It
under,
is.
would that be under, in August when the administration unveils the specifics?
What are the special meetings for, informational?
What's
Special meetings?
Well, those are the ones we're having right now.
Right.
We're required to have
Oh, right,
meetings in each town prior to your annual meeting according to our articles.
okay.
I'm talking about
So-
something other than,
Right.
a meeting where you're not
Talking
getting
about a
a
community.
lot of people.
Community gathering.
Mm.
And again, we can, we warn things, we can, and
Absolutely.
I think we have enough meetings to attend. I don't know if I could fit a picnic in or if I could fit in another public fun meeting.
You can't put a picnic in that where you're gonna get fed?
No.
Really?
What about- we talked about doing
With
more
cake?
things through the schools. Have the schools have some more interactive?
Berries
have
cake?
the opportunity.
I had so much cake left over, it was insane.
I know, I should have brought some more home. Yeah, I mean,
Right. We can encourage that. but I
I'm
don't
not
know
saying that
what-
these meetings aren't a hoot, but I'm saying that it's a nice opportunity to do something where, you're talking about engagement. You might have a lot more people who are interested in bringing their kids to a picnic and meeting, folks in Wardsboro and people who might be coming to Dover and likewise, so.
A booth at the Woodsboro 4th of July parade. I know a lot of Dover people go up there for that, something like that. Like,
maybe we could do a dunking booth or the
bingo.
district clerk. treasurer.
It's usually hot on the 4th of July.
Rich, I like
We got
that
one.
idea.
Yeah, that sucked. That was a stupid comment. Who made that? July, booth at Wardsboro Fair.
With you sitting up
I
there.
don't go to the Wardsboro Fair.
You might have to.
Okay,
It says December through January, your blue sky, the thing you brought up last week,
I'm sorry,
the what are we,
where's that?
the thing you brought up last week, or at the last meeting.
Oh, December.
That's now, so, I know there's less meetings, because of the holidays and stuff.
Yeah.
But, so, what, I know you brought it up, but is there any more further talks about that? Is there
Well,
any- I mean-
right now, we're just working on the general of this, so that we're not getting into specifics.
Okay.
So,
But that's, I guess, my question, when is that happening?
that'll
So
happen,
people can-
so
So people know to attend and
Yeah.
have input on that.
yeah, well, that's on the agenda, it'll tell you what's happening, so to have input, but yeah, it'd be at a board meeting. It's not there, right now we have to set up, we have 5 meetings in the next 6 weeks. 7 weeks. So I really wasn't trying to add any extra.
I
But-
think that's also through talking about the vision statement and public
Yeah.
engagement, that we wanted to get a sense from.
Community
the
engagement,
community
January
about
through March.
what they foresee this board's role as. Is this, right, we're just.
The board's role is pretty well set. It's the vision of the new
Are you
school.
combining two schools, or are you looking at two spaces
With one.
with one school, and maybe reconfiguring them, maybe, yeah.
And, well, I'm sure we're gonna discuss that at the January 2nd meeting.
Okay.
But are we okay on the schedule?
Yeah.
Before we get too far off the beaten path?
Thank you.
Okay, so I added in July, I put booth at the Wardsboro Fair for Carrie
And I will have you there.
to be dunked. And Andy. Andy looks good in a swimsuit. He's in calendars and stuff.
I think you need to watch that.
And then August, including any policies that we feel are for the new district, or are necessary for the new district. We'll add those 2 things. I'm gonna add under concentrations, I'm gonna add policy, and I'm gonna change building of attendance to more fit in after, so that really should be like September.
Curriculum one.
Yeah, September, October, and that can actually go all the way through till almost May of 2019. September, October 2018. And then, so out of the 6 concentrations, Dwight, can I put you down for buildings and grounds?
Sure.
Okay. Carrie, can I put you down for community engagement?
Yes.
Educational and curriculum.
Bless you.
You were Barry.
I'll do it.
You'll do it? You guys mind if I do negotiations?
Go for it.
Transportation, Barry, do you mind?
Sure.
Ouch.
That's helpful.
Well, actually, that won't be bad, Barry, because you'll get a lot of help with that one, I'm sure.
That's right.
Study groups.
Yeah, hopefully. And then policy, we'll give to Laura. Okay, so I'm gonna correct that, and then, are you guys, if everybody's good with this, this will be our guiding
I'm good with it.
principles for the next
Everybody else?
few months?
Yeah, it's good.
Okay. Perfect. Look at all the stuff we're knocking off. Building and ground capital assessment proposal to make recommendations to the Wardsboro Dover School. Are you ready to make a recommendation, or are you still?
No, not ready to make a recommendation, but the good news is Wardsboro, I sent you a note.
Yeah,
Wardsboro
that's
voted,
right here.
so I don't know if everyone heard that, but Wardsboro voted to spend the funds necessary for a capital study up to $5,000, so similar to Dover. So I contacted one of the groups, but I lost your email, so thanks for sending that over to me again.
You got the new one?
Yeah, I
Okay.
did look at it. So anyway, hopefully we'll start having some guys give them some bids, and we'll vote on which proposal to accept, and then we'll move forward.
Perfect. Everybody good with that? Then our next thing is set up informational meetings for annual meetings. So tonight we adopted an annual meeting. And one of our things is that we're required to have, we were said that we would do special meetings to just discuss the annual meeting as like a pre-town meeting. So we can also, we'll be available to discuss it at our regular board meetings, that we have 3 before the annual meeting. And then so we had mentioned January 30th and February 6th as special meetings. So since we meet the second Monday in Dover, should we do the January 30th meeting in Wardsboro, and then we'll do the February 6th in Dover? That kind of sucks because we're having the annual meeting in Dover. I don't care, however you guys think is best.
I don't know, if informational meetings are poorly attended.
Right, but we said we would do them, so I mean,
No, when I'm saying poorly attended, I mean, nobody shows up.
Right.
So
so they may
I don't
go
think it
quick.
matters when you do it.
Yeah.
Okay,
Right.
so January 30th, let's do that one in Dover.
So are you looking for,
So-
because those are on Tuesdays, so Tuesdays I won't be able to come,
Okay.
either of those.
You know the annual meeting's on a Tuesday too.
Well, that's
Not in the evening.
after, yeah, I don't have a problem with that.
Okay.
So these would be in the evenings?
Yeah, we'll do just
That's good.
at 7 o'clock, just like it was a regular.
We hang out for half an
I
hour.
don't think changing the
Yeah.
time is going to affect the attendance, I'm just kind of, that's my thinking. but-
Well, if Barry brings cake, maybe.
Well, that's what I'm saying, do we feed, or just after school, do we, any kind of free beer? I don't know.
You can't do this. Jeez, I'm pro. Can you put a 2-second blip in the tape? No.
18
See, if it was
minutes.
free beer, he'd be there with you, but.
The famous 18 minutes.
Famous 18 minutes, there you go.
All right.
You know, if we all just like didn't say anything for 5 minutes, you know, we can just say that was nature. Okay, so we'll do the 30th at Dover. Do we want to do it at the school, or do you want to do it at the town halls? Or where do you guys want
I
to do
think the
it?
school is fine.
Andy, do you have any input?
I can't see it making much of a difference. It's the informational meeting we're talking about, right?
Yeah, but we always hold pre-town meeting at the place you hold town meeting, so we're gonna hold the annual meeting at the town hall. We're-
People are used to going to the Wardsboro meetings at the school. So
Anyways,
I
okay.
don't think it's a big deal. What do you say?
You don't think, you,
I don't have much of an opinion. Doesn't
Okay.
matter to me, Rich.
No, I can't go, so I don't
you
want
don't
to tell
care
you
where it goes? Okay, why don't we do it at the schools this year, and then we'll see what happens. Okay.
Oh, wait, so, problem is, wait a minute. February 6th is,
Tuesday.
that's our normal meeting, is February 6th in Wardsboro,
Oh,
normal board meeting. So,
Well, both
it might be a good idea, maybe we did it
They're
on
both
purpose.
Tuesdays.
Yeah, well, yeah, this one is the first Tuesday of the month, February 6th, which might be fine, because I don't have a problem with doing both.
okay, check with your board, and if not, we'll have to change it. Well, see, then it's too late to get to her for the Bucketville thing, right? No, she can, as long as she knows the January one, we're
Right.
okay.
Yeah,
Okay,
okay?
perfect. So we set up the informational meetings, vision and guiding principles, and public engagement thoughts. Actually, they're two separate things. Vision and guiding principles. So our next meeting, because we're running really kind of late here, we're gonna have to really, we're gonna have a lot less going on above and with the calendar and with the getting the budget, the minutes, the agenda together. Sorry, guys. Vision and guiding principles. So we got to think about, we got to give the administration a vision of what we want to see, which is a little different than the mission statement. Our mission statement is what we want to do, but the vision is how we're going to do it. And it's not specific as how we're going to do it is like we will give everybody a half hour in the classroom with a classroom teacher and 5 minutes at recess, and they'll learn, you know, the first year math and second year dibbles and kibbles and then bits and stuff. It's more of a that we want all the children to learn the best of their abilities by direct classroom supervision, utilizing the most up-to-date teaching methods, and then we give that to the administration and they decide what that looks like. So, and then the guiding principles are kind of like the boundaries or the 5 or 6 kind of guidelines, or kind of keep them in between the channels. So, you know, we could say we want our children to be world-class learners, but unfortunately, they got to be a world-class learner in Dover and Wardsboro, because the administration may say, hey, if they want to be world-class learners, we're going to bring all the kids to Switzerland and learn for a year. Obviously, you know, we got to give them a little bit of guidance on how we do that. So for the next meeting, we need to really start kind of narrowing that down. And Bill will be there too, because over the next few months, he's going to pay attention and see where we're headed, so that he'll be using that information to guide him on his recommendations to us.
Sorry.
It's bedtime. So visions, guiding principles, and I'm also going to email you some information from some other school districts that they use to do their vision and guiding principles. We talked about public engagement thoughts. So Carrie wants to have picnics in the 4th of July, but other things too. You had some ideas, and this was kind of like for you to
Yes,
say.
so I wanted to try to use Anita so that we can figure out a questionnaire to send out to parents, taxpayers, community members about what they see. Is this, you know, 2 schools and 1 school board, or are we really creating something new? You know, what does the community want? Because we're, you know, we have perspective from us and maybe the people that are coming, but not a wide range of the members that this affects. So I'd like to use Anita by trying to tailor a questionnaire that she can send out by email, and maybe we send it out also to the students and the parents, and then also maybe it's sending it out by in writing through mailing to voting members, residents of each town. You know, that's like the main question that we need to figure out, and from there, we're looking at our vision statement, and that's how we are working. We should try to reach people in other ways other than just the television and the meetings here.
Okay, so do you have a question here? What you want to do?
Right now, no.
Okay.
Work
So-
on it. Do you want to work with Anita on that? Yeah.
Yeah, we gotta be careful, because that's not in our contract, is to develop a questionnaire. It's okay to give her a questionnaire and just ask her what she thinks, but we can't ask her to develop a questionnaire.
No, we would be developing it, she would be the one that's sending it out. I mean, isn't that how we're using her in
Right.
her capacity
Okay.
as public relations to get
Right.
that out?
No,
I'm not
that's
asking her to
definitely-
do that.
right.
I'm asking that we would come craft that and use her to distribute that.
Okay, so, and it sounds like you're doing multiple questionnaires. Because you're not gonna ask the student the same question you're gonna ask a taxpayer or a parent.
Or it could be one questionnaire that's tailored, parent,
Okay, so,
student.
you know what, you need to get a mock-up. You need to get us at least a little framework
Sure.
to start off. Can you do that before the next meeting?
No.
Okay. When do you intend this to go out for?
So this is kind of your, the thought process of January through March, so,
Okay, so it's not gonna be before town meeting?
no.
Okay. So when do you wanna try to, when do you wanna try to have the questionnaire out?
Out to the public,
Yeah,
I would say,
in March?
yeah.
Okay. So the questionnaire
February,
has to
maybe
go, so the questionnaire has to be January through March. Oh, we got a questionnaire for annual meeting as well as, but we wanted it in March. Okay, so when can you get us a mock-up of what you're thinking?
In the next month, but not before the
Okay.
holidays, definitely not before the next meeting.
So January 16th. Can you note on the minutes on January 16th on the agenda, we want to allot like probably a good half hour for the questionnaire discussion?
Okay.
Just make sure we show that so we remember that.
Do the schools have an email list? Just, or, how, if they don't look, maybe we can get started trying to create the list. Do you have
Do you
email
have
list,
a-
November?
We do for the families. and
Families.
Yeah.
Okay, so I would guess that we could send it by email to anybody who signs up on the blog or parents of the two schools, and then the rest would have to go out by mail, I'm assuming, for the rest of the
Yeah,
people.
I think we
link
should
on the-
discuss if we really want to
I'm
mail
just
them
saying,
out.
yeah, right, we still need to discuss that, but that would be.
I mean, I think the way I think circulation is part of the discussion.
Or maybe have it
Yeah,
ready
okay.
to circulate at town meeting day to.
Well, that's what I was
to young
asking,
people.
will it be ready for A, for our meeting, or B, for the town meeting?
Yeah.
Because town meeting, I think you get better return than, I mean, we've done surveys before when we were doing the IB and we mailed out a bunch and I don't think we got, I don't know if we got 5 back.
Well, I think anything we
You
get.
gotta put it on the kids.
Well, no, that's why if you're giving it through the emails, I mean, if it
I would
goes
say
through the
if
school.
You give it to the kids and say, if you bring this back, there's a reward for you.
Oh,
Some sort.
That's right.
Kids will get the parents.
So Carrie also needs to bake a bunch of cookies and.
Cookies, right, work for me.
Would you return one for a cookie?
Of course, when your little kid comes up to you and
It seems
says,
doable.
school says you have to fill this out.
To have a handout at
That's right.
town meeting day
Well,
to.
if we discuss it January 16th, you still have almost a month before
Right.
the annual meeting.
Right.
But it depends how, it definitely needs to go out before the meeting, before the January 16th, at least a framework. It doesn't have to be a finished product. If you just send out some ideas, so everybody, I think, if you make sure you do that, I think then we may be able to get it out for the annual meeting too, right? Just, so we're not starting from scratch.
Okay.
Of course, it could be available on the blog as well, if we wouldn't want to go there.
Yeah, well, no, I mean, I think her thought is really good is if we send it out ahead of time,
Mhm.
discuss it the 16th, Anita can weigh in on it.
Right,
And then if we can finalize it the following meeting, which would be that February, first meeting in February, then it can go out in the blogs, and we can also print a bunch and take them to the, we won't be able to take them to the informational meetings, but we can take them to that annual meeting, and then it could also go to both town meetings.
okay. Yep.
What do you think, Carrie? Open questions, closed questions? Do you want people to write to their heart's content? Do you want yes and no's? Do you want ABCDs?
No, I like all of those above. Draw me a picture, write an
It
essay.
gets really complicated. when you get
Yeah.
to
I think
surveys
making
like
it
that.
simple,
Yeah.
as simple as possible.
And you'll get more response that way.
Do you want us to all work on maybe some questions if we're
But
thinking about
I
vision?
let Carrie get us a kind of a framework.
Tell me what you're thinking, also.
Yeah,
We can
okay.
email you some, we can email you some of our ideas.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
So then let's also then, do me a favor, send Anita an email just telling her that we're gonna do that and that you're open to suggestions.
Do you have Anita's contact information?
I do, but I'll email it to you, because I don't have it with me. So I'll send an email to all the board, and then you can just respond to that, and then Carrie will get that.
Excellent.
And so in your perfect world, what would this surveys come back? Would it tell us just how to set the scores the way all the time? There's a love it. Perfect
Thank
world.
you. I think the idea of the, our
Or are you
larger,
just thinking like
our
direction?
larger picture of what are we doing? What's the goal here?
What do you do?
Right, right. Are we just continuing business as usual as two separate schools with one board? Or are we really, like what Rich was saying, creating something new, starting from scratch with everything and having a bigger picture?
Okay, I'm trying to get from A to B on that. That's
It's gonna be tricky, but I think it's a good exercise that needs to be done. I think it's important.
Nick's all thinking.
We didn't do any surveys during the study committee, did we?
No, but we did have a lot of involvement, and we did a lot of things where, we had themed meetings, and people had to ask questions. We also had a lot of questions asked to us on those cards, and we had a lot of involvement that way. I was thinking about that, if there's a way for us to do some of those, some of
I
that.
think, well, to do that, we gotta go back to Marlboro.
That's right, they asked all the questions.
It was a lot easier in Dover, Berkshire, isn't it?
Right, they trust us.
Okay. Carrie, are you good with your public engagement?
I
Because
am.
you're heading this up, so.
Yes, I'm
You
writing
are the
notes.
lady.
I am.
Okay.
myself.
So our next meeting is January 2nd in Wardsboro. I put time to be determined because you were gonna check with your board.
I did, and they were willing to move their meeting to 5:30, so we'll be done by 7.
So we wanna do it 7?
Yes.
Perfect. Okay, so the next meeting, January 2nd, Wardsboro at 7 PM. We had a quick executive session item on contractual issues, so there won't be any decisions made. I think it's just gonna be a discussion. So is there anything else from the board so that when we kick everybody else out, they don't have to stand around and wait to come back in? No? Anything from you folks? Yes, sir.
One suggestion.
Yes.
Start to compile your own email list of your citizens and taxpayers,
Right.
not just the families of the students.
Right.
And I've got one suggestion on how to do that.
Shoot.
Send a letter out with the annual tax bill, asking people to go to a website where they can sign up through MailChimp or something.
Do you still do a February invoice?
I believe Marco sends out a reminder. You might consider as well, like, something with town meeting. I can give you a mailing list of the voters in town. You folks are answerable to the voters, not to the taxpayers. Which is interesting, especially in Dover. I don't know what your numbers are in Wardsboro. But the voters elect you. We have, a lot of second homeowners in Dover. And we really care what they think. But they're not part of this process.
But again, they may have some good thoughts or ideas too.
They might. I just wanted to throw it out there.
Yeah, I mean, it's difficult because they feel so disenfranchised anyways.
They do, but they don't have to make a living here and their kids don't go to school here.
Well, some of them do.
Well, and
Well-
and some second homeowners move up here full-time like me.
And then they're voters and they are on the voter list,
And they come to meetings,
okay?
because
It's,
either
Couple of us.
they're bored or,
Just love hearing you speak all,
Yes, sir.
all week.
Well, there's an easy, maybe an easy solution, but when you're surveying folks, one of the first questions can be, what is your constituency?
Right.
So are you a second home? And that might be valuable data as you're analyzing the results.
that's a great idea.
Then you can see what the different groups
we
think.
did that on the IB survey.
Yeah.
Are you a parent? Are you a
Yeah.
community member? Are you a,
Yeah.
so. Andy, we could also put something in the town report too. So I can do a.
Yes.
Can you guys maybe, or Rick, you and I should write a letter from both of us that can go into the town reports. So it's the same report, both for, like, the superintendent does. And one of the things is we can ask for an email, people to send their email addresses to, and we'll make sure that she can take them and then let her, Anita compile maybe the emails through the blog or the website. And then
Well, they
that
may
way-
be able to go right to the blog and do the survey right on the blog too. But nice to get their email too.
So we have to, you want reports by like the first week in January, so we won't know exactly what's going on.
You could, because we don't mail town reports anymore, you could just provide something to slip in the town reports that I put on people's chairs at town meeting. Otherwise, I do have, I can create a mailing list of voters. The Excel list, if you want to include all property owners, but those two aren't going to be the same because you have renters who are voters and.
Having somebody sign up online and do a survey online is gonna get you data a lot faster.
Yeah.
And, so send them, something to
This
sign
guy
up.
sounds like he's computer literate too, maybe he'll
I
come on your
know.
committee and your group.
A little bit.
With surveys.
I can help you. I've
Maybe
spent
you got
25 years doing this stuff.
somebody from Dover, get their emails before they leave. I
You
got
gotta get them on-
Matt's.
gotta get them on your committee.
I've done that type of stuff for 25 years.
Yeah, you're gonna get a lot more data a lot faster and be able to get information, especially once people are signed up, because,
Right.
Would it be through a survey monkey or something?
Yeah.
One of those
Yeah.
things?
yeah, you just get them
Yeah.
to sign up on their email.
Can we, are those free to do in the
For
town?
the quantity that they'll be dealing with, yes.
Should we maybe, can we kind of say that that's what we're gonna do, so we can tell people there'll be a survey, something as an online survey coming shortly, pay attention to the blog site?
Yeah, that's why I asked if we
Is
have.
that what we should move towards?
Well, we gotta get the email addresses though, that's the problem.
Well, no, if we have a site they can go to do the
Right.
survey, then if we have emails, we can send them an email saying, here it is, but
Right.
also we can say to people that maybe don't have emails, go to the library and jump on the computer and go to the site.
Peter?
There was a reasonable response from the town of Whitingham for a Survey Monkey last year that became the basis of our new town plan in some respect. I wasn't real impressed with the overwhelming response, but it's probably at least as good as you're going to get any other way.
Well, I mean, town meeting, you get what percentage usually? If you get 100 people, you get 10%?
Yeah,
Like
100
for-
people in the room, but in and out all day to vote and whatnot, if we had things available for them to pick up, who knows?
50-ish?
Depending on the year, it could go considerably higher than that.
And you can combine physical, people filling out a survey with the electronics.
Right.
Okay. Well, so we'll work on that then. Okay. I forget where we were, was that?
We were
The board's all
going
good?
into executive session
Yeah.
unless somebody had
And
anything else.
Nobody else has anything else? Okay, so I'll entertain a motion, move into executive session on contractual issues.
Thanks everyone for coming.
Take care, folks.
Yep,
Thank
make
you,
motion.
Andy.
With the schedule of work.
Carrie made a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Barry seconds it, and we'll say 8:58.